Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stock Trading Pro. My name is Pete Renzulli. Today's stock market update is going to be an interesting one. Stock futures are getting pounded again early today, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing to trade. When you're actually reading the tape and reading the order flow, you can always find what we call pockets of opportunity. Now, the challenge that comes in for most traders is how to trade stocks that you want to buy while the market's going down. And it's a very unique way of adding and building positions against the most recent order flow. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about today. It's Friday, so we're also going to review last night's coaching session that we had with the boot camp, which is very exciting. There's actually one big thing in there that I want to talk about today, which is trading with fear and how to eliminate fear of trading in a heartbeat. And I promise you today we're going to do that. While I have everybody's attention, I also want to focus on something else, which is pretty important. We actually have a new book that we came out with, and you could download it. So I just want to point that out to you. Order flow stacking book. It's one of the most important things that we do in our community. Download this book, makes the stock market easier to understand so you can trade with confidence, and obviously a new way to put capital to work. There's no cost to the book. You'll see all of the highlights of what's in the book. So click the link below the video in the description, and you'll see a link to go and download that book. I believe it's 40 pages, something like that, but it is step-by-step packed with exactly how I do things every day. And if you have any more questions about that, you can always obviously leave me a question below the video. But I'm most jazzed up today to talk about the stuff from our coaching session last night. Every Monday and Thursday, we have 2 coaching sessions, and the traders in our community are challenged to come up with what are your biggest roadblocks. And I'll just show you the questions. We're going to get into that. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, with the market going down right now, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to have conviction in the stock picks that we have. But we did see a couple of stocks that had what we call relative strength yesterday. And we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into sectors and work our way up that stock market power pyramid to say, are there any sectors and then groups of stocks that have buying pressure that we could take a look at today. So I want to thank everybody for being here with me today. If you happen to be watching this on a replay, I promise it's going to be worth your time as well. So stick around. I'll be back in just one second. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me here today, everybody. I'm actually going to go right over first into the market, and then we're going to get right into today's ideas. We're going to break down today's ideas from a little bit more of a relative strength perspective to see if there's any pockets of buying opportunities and which stocks. I will tell you, hopefully you've been watching the channel every day. And if we do a good job, I really hope that you can keep coming back because we're providing you with some good education on the trading side of things and also some good stock picks. If you watched Monday and Wednesday, we actually mentioned healthcare and we mentioned consumer staples. Those are generally the top 2 sectors in the market that when inflation starts to become rampant, for lack of a better way of putting it, and interest rates start to go up, we have to start to ask ourselves what stocks and what companies should maintain their bid while the cost of living is getting a little bit more expensive. And we actually looked at that yesterday where the interest on mortgages is now double, and that is actually coming down as far as housing market as well. So that's something else we're going to keep a look at because 2 of those stocks actually reported earnings today, this week, and Costco also reported earnings. So we're going to take a look at that as well. So the big thing we want to take a look at is when we start with the day, we obviously want to go into sector rotation. And you can see from one little pocket of opportunity on Tuesday coming into today, it is a mess. There's no other way to put it. Let me zoom this in a little bit more so you can see it. But there's pockets of opportunity. We've been talking about basic material stocks. We've been talking about consumer defensive. Some people call that consumer staples. But I'm going to focus today on consumer defensive as the first one. And we're also going to focus over here on healthcare. Now, if you are new to what we do, we try and make things in the stock market as easy as possible. Our goal is 2 things, order flow and tape reading. Order flow is it obvious? Are the big money players in the market, what we might call institutions, doing something obvious? And then the tape reading part of it is, do we know if it's still valid? And how do we know if it's changed? So if you remember on Wednesday, and hopefully you took advantage of this, we spent some time talking about healthcare stocks, and healthcare actually picked up a bid. You can actually see the market's down a little bit. But what I want to talk about is we want to dive a little bit into some of the healthcare ideas specifically from yesterday. And obviously this one is the big dog. Now you can actually see where we've been tracking this stock Sava is a very, very news-driven stock. Cassava Sciences has been having a hard time, and we actually even zoom this back. You can see right around this 30 to 35 level has been a very significant support. Then it became resistance, and this is actually probably the trade of the month. Now, if you are astute and you have a simple strategy, one of the easiest things to do is to pay attention to when stocks reach significant reference points. Now, a significant reference point is what most people know as support and resistance. And support and resistance is nothing more than where did buyers or sellers last do something significant? That's the big thing. Now, the question we get all the time is, how do you understand when to trade a breakout? For some reason, breakouts, especially 52-week highs or new all-time highs, they get like this bad rep that breakouts don't work, right? But most trades have the same, let's just say, winning percentage if they're set up properly. Now, what we looked at in Sava, and I want to be super, super clear about this, right? Everything we're talking about right now is for educational purposes. It's up to you to make that final decision. One of the biggest things about trading Sava, S-A-V-A, Cassava Sciences, and I'll put that back up on the screen here, and you can see the kind of move that the stock had over the last week or so. This stock, and it's something that we talk about quite a bit, is the spread. If you happen to be day trading this stock, or a little bit longer term, swing trading is not really the same, is it has a little bit of a wider spread. Now, the wider spreads come in because of the volatility and the liquidity of the stock. Market makers and specialists widen that spread to protect their downside, quite honestly, because it's their job to create a fair and orderly market in those particular stocks, right? So Sava, what did happen, right? News got crushed. Let's actually go to a little bit longer term picture. And you can see the stock has been very, very volatile, came all the way back down and got all the way down into the $10, $13 area, right? Then look what's happening since earnings. It's kind of been drifting, gapping, but it couldn't get through this 35 level. Now, this is the biggest thing that trading breakouts. Now, the first thing you need to do is separate breakout trades from every other trade that you're taking, and don't make them some mystical thing that has to work all the time. Our job, and this is something you want to write down, everything we talk about, there's always stuff you want to write down that's a big deal, right? Real breakouts follow through. That's the thing that you need to know, which the other side of that also means that if a breakout does not follow through, it's not a real breakout, and you just simply kick it out, and it's a business expense like any other trade. The breakouts that matter, the breakouts that should have our attention, are the ones that follow through and then hold that breakout level for a significant time. Now, significant time could be a week, right? But the most important thing is sellers did not come back in and push it right back down in. And that's what we're taking a look at here in Sava. This particular level, it couldn't get through. So, but it has to be on your radar at this point, which, by the way, this is very, very important. When you notice a stock has a significant level, a significant reference point, first time it gets up there, it can't get through. Second time it gets up there, it can't get through. It's up to you to set an alert. Critically important, because go back and do what other trades you happen to be doing, whatever trades are in your game plan, whatever stocks you plan to buy that day, but make sure that alert is set so that if it happens to get back up there again, it comes up into your trading platform, and now you can make a decision if you want to trade it. A really advanced way of doing that, which is one of the things that we teach in our community, is setting a buy stop order up at that price, and then you'll get alerted because it pops into your position summary, and now you're in the position with the tiny piece, and then you could read the tape, which is one of the best ways to read the tape. So my point is here, we finally got through this level, and as we said, between 30 and 35 has been the breakout level, and we held. That is the signal where this time it's different. If you notice in the other times that the stock broke out, and again, this is a big thing. When you put that trade on, you have to assume everything that led up to that trading decision is now a part of why you put that trade on. But the market and your stock does not stop trading after you put that on. Now you have to keep assessing whether or not the idea is valid. Remember, is order flow obvious? Is it still valid? That's the two things that we need to pay attention to. In this particular case, it finally held the $35 bid, $30, instead of pulling back, it finally held, which led to this move. Now, I'll give full credit where credit is due. A lot of the members of our community inside of our Discord channel focus on certain stocks. So like Brian Carr is really good at AMD and Amazon and some stocks like that. Sava happens to be a big stock for one of our longest tenured members, which is Lynn Ramirez. She's on Sava all the time, and she basically types into the community, something's going on, the tape has changed, it's time to keep an eye on it. And Lynn had some really nice positions in here this week from 34 up until around 51. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not taking credit for Lynn's trade. Lynn made that trade all on her own, but it's kind of fun that when you start to specialize in certain stocks, it becomes easier to know when something changed and when you should pay attention. So congratulations to Lynn Ramirez. Awesome job in this stock this week specifically. So what's the whole point in this, right? If you remember, earlier in the week, Monday and Wednesday, we pointed out healthcare stocks and consumer defensive stocks in an inflationary environment should find bids. So if we take that into yesterday, now I want to be super, super clear about this. And I had mentioned this to somebody yesterday, a gentleman named Jim, and I had mentioned he had said that he was busy. So I said, if we are in the market, and anybody who's in the market should try and spend 15 to 30 minutes a day, if it's possible, to see what's going on in the market, to manage any open positions, but just as importantly, to prepare for potential ideas. So what we brought up, again, Monday and Wednesdays, we talked about healthcare stocks and we talked about consumer defensive. So if you already have that as a part of your game plan, I should be paying attention to those stocks, especially after the FOMC announcement. Then you already have a list of stocks that you should be looking at. And if they hold the bid, meaning if the market goes down and they say strong, you're like, I'm golden. I already know which stocks I want to buy. Those are the best stocks to buy now based on those conditions. That's a lot, right? Let's do a cliff note of that. Which stocks should remain strong if inflation is persistent? So we're looking at healthcare stocks and consumer defensive. So think about what happens in your own house. If inflation continues to go through the roof, if interest rates continue to go up, what are you still going to spend money on no matter what? Healthcare, right? Healthcare, Costco, Walmart, all of those kind of things. So yesterday, according to plan, we were watching the healthcare stock. So obviously Sava is one of the bigger movements yesterday. But we did have some nice moves yesterday. Again, finding bids in Lilly, Merck. And if we drop down a little bit more, just to give you a little idea of what they looked like yesterday, pretty impressive price action. Let me just go back over here. So having the list of stocks before you need them is the way, I should say it's an easier way to make money in the market. It's not hard. All you need to do at the end of every day is say, what did the market do and which stocks are either trading with the market, or if I want to be a buyer, if the market was weak, which stocks had relative strength. So if you saw that picture of the YouTube art that we put up there today, and I think that it's still going to be available. Let me just take a look over here. You can actually see here which pockets of opportunity. So now this is just yesterday. Now, yesterday is only one day, but it's a start. It's something where we can now pay attention to. Smart money is holding the bid on these stocks while the market's going down. So if we take a quick look at this, you can see Microsoft. We were talking about that all day yesterday, how it wasn't going down with the market. As a matter of fact, it finished positive. Google, Meta was actually showing a little bit of a bid yesterday. But look at this pocket of opportunity here in drug manufacturers and healthcare and UNH. It's not hard to find money. And look at over here, Procter & Gamble, Altria and tobacco, right? What do you need no matter what? Colgate, right? Consumer defensive. Trading is as easy or as challenging as we want to make it. But I want to tell you this, and I want to tell you this in the most sincere way. Some of us have met in person, some of us haven't. But if I could give you this suggestion, I don't want to say any suggestion is between friends, right? If you have the time, spend some time at night or sometime early in the morning, and I'm going to give you this again. You want to take a screenshot of this and just walk yourself through the power pyramid. Walk yourself through these simple questions. What is the market doing right now? And is it obvious? If it's obvious, which major sectors are doing the same thing as the market? If the market's going down, which sectors are going down? If the market's going down, which sectors are going up? That's the simplest way of having an idea of what the market's doing and setting up some ideas and the best stocks to buy now. Then you work your way from the sectors and you go up to the groups. So for example, technology sector, but a group might be semiconductor stocks. Technology sector, but a group might be solar stocks. So if we start to work off solar stocks, then we go to look at individual ideas. So if we hop on over and if we type in, let's just say ENPH, which we've been talking about solar stocks for a while now, then you need to go over here into the solar group. Let me actually bring that in a little bit for you so you can see it. So we have technology and we have solar. So as we work our way up the power pyramid, technology is the group. Technology is the sector. Solar stocks are the group. And then we go into stock specific ideas. So if we work our way through that, one of the top ideas that I have today is FSLR, which you can see is holding the bid and not going down with the market. It's pulling back a little bit this morning with the market. So here's the thing. Anything that's pulling back right now, you have a choice. Do you understand short selling? If you don't understand short selling, then you should still be just sitting back looking for opportunities to buy. Now, here's a question that we got brought up in our Discord community actually on Monday morning, I believe. No, actually it was Wednesday morning. If stocks you game plan are not doing what you want, should you start to trade them in the other direction? So in other words, if we come into the day today and we start to look at FSLR and the stock is down and the entire market's down, what do we do? Now, this is what's going to separate you from somebody who has an amazing time in the stock market from somebody who says the stock market doesn't work. It's more important to know what's probably going to happen next and what you're definitely going to do. So there's step one and step two. The challenge that a lot of people have. So let's say, for example, I want to buy FSLR stock today, or I want to buy Costco stock today. I then go into the day and I have everything mapped out on my sheet, right? I know exactly these are the stocks I plan to buy. These are the stocks that I plan to manage, right? If what I expect to have happen happens, great. I take action. Now, here's the part that where a lot of traders get into trouble is they trade even if what they want to see does not happen. So if you want to elevate your skill level as a trader, it's imperative that you have an edge and then you only trade the edge. And I know that sounds insane. Everybody's like, no, I have all the discipline in the world. Yeah, you're full of beans. Nobody has that kind of discipline all the time. Everybody ever who has traded veers off the path there, veers off the path there. And why do we do it? Maybe we read a headline. Maybe we want some excitement, which are the worst reasons to trade. You have to trade because even if that headline is exciting, it still has to match how you look at the market, which is actually going to take me over into something else. And actually somebody here, Keith, is talking about support level, right? Curlin, I'm sorry. So let's actually go hop on over to the market. And the 370 level has been the level. So here, once, twice, and now a third. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sharing the screen. Once, twice, and a third time. So this is the big level to keep an eye on right now. If we crack this level and we start to move out a little bit further, the last significant breakout is all the way back in 2020, just after what happened with the world crisis right there. So then we're looking at around 353. So let's actually zoom that out a little bit. Down $4.84 right now. So it's early in the day. We're all on YouTube here trying to get some good ideas. What do we do right now? Number one, you have to have a plan to manage your existing positions. It's critical that if the market is not doing what you expect it to do, that you have a plan for either scaling back or allowing your stop loss to take you out of the trade and start to look for new ideas. If there are new ideas in this market where the market's going down and you're planning to be a buyer of those stocks, we need to be smart. One of the biggest questions we get all the time is, how do I know when to book profits? How do I know when to work my way into a position versus how do I know when I should just go in with more share size because I really like the idea? So this is where we talk about driving. You're on the road, you're driving, nobody's on the road, and you're like, great, I can do 75. Everything looks fantastic. That will be a situation where the market's going up and your stock's going up. Everything's awesome, right? Your favorite song's on the radio and nobody's on the road with you, right? That's not what we're in right now. Right now, we're in stop and go traffic. Right now, it's raining. There's black ice on the road and there's cars everywhere and there's a rubbernecking delay. So what we need to do in that situation is we could step on the gas a little bit and then see what happens. Step on the gas a little bit and see if the road opens up. So that means the current market conditions, with the way the market's going down very strong right now, if there are some stocks that we will be looking to buy, which you can see there are a smaller group of stocks, and you can see that some of them are in healthcare. If there are groups of stocks that we're looking to buy, the smarter play right now is to think that we're not in a perfect open road and put a little piece on and get some feedback. So if we're taking a look at some of these ideas here, these are the stocks that are the strongest order flow from the month of September, when you can see that list has dramatically decreased. These are stocks that have buying pressure from Monday's opening price, and this is over the last 10 days. So you can see that this list has dramatically decreased. So these will be the stocks that I'll be looking for heading into today. And if they do what I want them to do, these are the stocks that I consider hot stocks that are showing relative strength. Now, some of these stocks here are on the short side of the market, stocks that I'm looking and trading on the way down. Now, here's the thing. This is a very important thing. We had a great question by somebody in our coaching call last night is, when I do the scans of stocks that are going down and looking to be a short seller of those stocks, how do I come up with 133 stocks that meet that criteria, but you come up with 20 stocks? How do you get rid of those extra 110 stocks that don't matter? And it really comes down to, if a stock meets the scanning criteria, that's only step one. Step two is it still a valid trade? And I'm going to show you what I mean by that scan. So if we hop on over here into FinViz, which is probably our most popular scan that we run, we're going to go to weak stocks with a weak close. So if you can see right here, weak stocks with a weak close. And there's 100 stocks that meet that criteria. So that's just step one. So if we're looking at aggressively or understanding the other side of the market as a short seller, betting stocks will go down, what we now need to do is say, how close are those stocks relative to their optimal entry? So in other words, how far have those stocks gone over the last 5 to 7 days? Because, raise your hand if you've been like, wow, this stock looks great. And let's use actually Sava as an example. This stock looks amazing. I should buy it today, right? No, not as a new swing trade. This is what it normally does. Maybe normally 23 to 31. So maybe normally an $8 move. And now we're talking about, in this move, it's $22. So what we're talking about right now is understanding, first part is order flow. The second part is tape reading. Is it obvious? Is it still valid? The third part is, how far is it from the optimal entry? The optimal entry is if I'm about to hit buy, or in this case, in Sava, buy button, right? How far is it in what it normally moves? If it normally moves 8 and it's already moved 7, that's not the best idea for a new swing trade. Maybe you can day trade that stock, but for a swing trade, we need to let that stock pause a little bit. So I just want to bring this up one more time. If you want some more detail on this kind of stuff, click the link below the video and you can download this book. It walks you through all this in a lot more detail. And there's actually a bonus video on the thank you page. It's a free training that's about 37 minutes or something like that. So anyway, yeah, actually, Lynn's here. Lynn, I gave you all the credit. I don't know if you saw that before. I go back to the beginning of the video. I gave you all the credit for calling out Bob, Sava in the community. So thank you. So anyway, so what we want to talk about here on these ideas as the market's going down is we now want to go into these ideas and see how far they've moved over the last few days. So you can get an idea of what Alcoa normally does on a move down, and you make that decision. Airbnb, that's too far from the optimal entry. So we now work our way through some of these other ideas, and you're going to determine how far are they. ALLY, just breaking down from a big support. AMD, just breaking down from a big support. Some of them have gone too far, and they're not good ideas. So the whole point, a stock could be a hot stock on the short side, or it could be a hot stock that is holding the bid while the market's going down. So our job, again, I'm going to pull this up one more time because it's that important. Our job is to read the stock market power pyramid, take 5 minutes and say, is the market obvious? Now, the big question is, how do I know if the market's obvious? Well, that's where we're going to go right back to, if we go back over, I feel like I'm doing a commercial for FinViz here, but right here, is the market obvious and how long has the market obvious? So even if you're only here over the last 5 days. It's very clear to see in the S&P 500 over the last 5 days, it's been mostly selling. Over the last 5 days, over the last month, has been mostly selling. But pocket of opportunity, ABBV, Netflix. And if we go over to those two stocks, let's take a look, especially at Netflix, which actually has held the bid. Netflix actually, since earnings, has been slowly creeping up and is sitting near a breakout level. Now, most stocks are down today, right? I should say most stocks are down pre-market. This is where you start to learn how to keep money in your pocket, keep your discipline, but if stocks turn around, you already have the list. If I can give you any suggestion that will instantly catapult what you're doing, understand that when you are prepared before you need to make a decision, trading becomes a lot more business-like. So in other words, when somebody owns a business, they go in every day and they're like, okay, I know how to run my business, turn the key, start talking to customers, or whatever you do. Like my family used to have a deli. I'd slice the bologna, get the bagels ready, get the coffee ready. We knew what we were doing before we started to do business. So what we're talking about now, which is understanding order flow in the market, is it obvious? Then we look at the sectors and then we find stocks, right? That work, which takes maybe 15 or 30 minutes, when you do that work first, before you start looking for entry signals, that's one of the biggest mistakes that people do is just tell me where to get in. Just tell me where to get in. Well, you need to know, is it a great idea before you start to look for an entry? When you go through that process, and again, if you haven't done it yet, again, this is completely free. Download this book. Get over here, download this book. The link is in the description. It'll walk you through all of this. And there's a video on the next page after that. It's a 37-minute training video that really takes you into this in a lot more depth. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to go over to some of the coaching questions from last night. And I think probably one of the biggest questions that we had last night, you can see last night was just over an hour. I want to talk about fear. Fear was a couple of questions that came up last night. How to stop struggling with fear. And if you're afraid, focus on these two things, right? And we also talked about confidence. That's a big part of trading as well. So as the market gets a little bit more challenging, as the market gets a little bit more bearish, we're starting to go down. A lot of people right now are scared. Maybe it's you, maybe it's not you, but I want to walk you through this because this is very important. One of the things that people mistakenly do in the markets is they want to have confidence that that next trade is going to make money. And your confidence goes up and down based on whether that trade made money or that trade made money, right? Can't express this strongly enough. That is completely wrong. If you want to have unshakable confidence in the stock market, okay? And I can't say this any other way. It is easily one of the biggest, and I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it, stock market secret. There, I threw it out there, right? Easily one of the biggest stock market secrets is you should not be trying to have confidence in that trade. What you want to have confidence is all of the trades that you make will follow through most of the time. So let's really get into what it means to have a trading edge, okay? A trading edge, whether it's an algorithm or a strategy that you built yourself to trade the stock market, means that if I see this happen, most of the time it's going to move in my favor. That is where you should have trading confidence. The problem, and where most people's emotions are kind of like all over the place in the stock market, is that trade lost money, that trade made money, that trade lost money, and you're driving yourself batty. Your heart's going out of your chest every time you make or lose money because your confidence level or your fear is going up or down with whether each trade made money. That's garbage. Right now, stop. What you need to have confidence in is, first, if you have an edge and you've tested that edge with real money, at least over 3 months with multiple trades, anywhere from 50 to 100 trades, to say, yeah, wow, this thing works. It moves in the direction that I expect it to. That's my strategy most of the time. Now, part of it works most of the time also means that sometimes it doesn't. So even with a good strategy, most of the time it will follow through. Sometimes it won't. That's where your confidence should lie. If you are afraid to place a trade, if you are afraid to make a decision, if you are afraid that the next trade won't follow through, your focus is wrong. Focus on the edge, not each trade. Now, what does that mean? That means you look at an idea and a good idea pops up, you put the trade on. Another good idea pops up, you put the trade on. Now, what happens after you buy that stock? That's trade management. Did it move against you? Fine. That's one of the ideas that didn't work out. That's a business expense. And that's, again, these are all the things that I teach in our community every single day. And if you want to learn more about the community, you could learn, click the link in the description to learn about a boot camp. Now, what about the trades that do work out? What about the trades that are moving in my favor? And that's another part of what we talk about is what we have, which is called the profit maximizer. So we talk about a system of managing winning trades. Now, here's the biggest thing that I want to leave you with from last night's coaching call. Raise your hand, and I guarantee this without even knowing most of you, right? I hope I can meet you personally. We're actually going to have a live event finally next year. Raise your hand if you spend all of your time on show me where to buy, show me where to buy, show me where to buy, and you get into that trade, and every single time you buy a stock, you get in for the same exact signal. That's awesome, right? But let me ask you a question. Every single profitable trade do you have? Do you have a process for managing profitable trades every single time the same way? That's the last step that a lot of people are missing. Remember what I talked about before, wide open road versus stop and go traffic? Those are two different scenarios for different profit-taking systems, right? But if you start to spend as much time on your exits as you do on your entries, oh my word, I'm going to say it the way I say in our community, which is, I believe wholeheartedly, this is the most glorious time to be a stock trader and a glorious time to be in the stock market because we are having so many opportunities right now because of all of the news that's going on right now. People ask all the time, is this a good time to learn how to be a trader? Oh, there's never going to be a better time because there's so much movement. There's so much volatility. There's so much keeping stocks active. You just need to learn how to read the tape and read the order flow. Once you understand that, the only other thing you need to do, trust your edge, follow your edge, and then build a system for managing those profitable trades. So again, take a screenshot of this because these are the questions that we had last night. And what I really like to do is give everybody a chance to write these questions down, write them out, and talk about, do you follow these same kinds of questions? So are you asking questions? And I'm going to zoom down a little bit here so you can see the questions. What's holding you back? What part of trading would absolutely change everything if you understood it better? What part of your trading performance is weak and can be improved? What part of setting up your software do you need help with? What part of trading to win needs work? What part of order flow stacking, tape reading, and optimal entries do you need clarity? So by the way, this part right here is taught in this book right here. So you definitely want to grab your copy of this book. You can get that in the link below the video. So I just can't tell you enough. This is an amazing time to be involved in the stock market. If you happen to be losing right now, if you happen to be confused or overwhelmed, take a step back and ask yourself those questions. What part of trading do I need work on? What part of trading is confusing to me right now? And I'm willing to bet you probably have the first part down, which is, can I understand if the market's obvious? Without knowing you, but I'm willing to make this bet. I'm willing to take this bet. The biggest challenge that people have are steps number 2 and step number 3, which is it still valid? And how do I know if it changed? And the third part is, how do I identify the optimal entry so that risk reward is the greatest when I'm about to hit buy? Download that book. You'll be very happy that you did. Read it over the weekend, and then next week come back with some more questions. Okay? Have an awesome day, everybody. I will speak to you on Monday. Have a great day of trading and go be profitable today. Make yourself proud. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.